stream taking a clean victory. I guess it wasn't so clean, but it was, I mean, pretty clean.
Yeah.
Methodical, maybe is a better word, over Corey Esmeyer. And, these two players have played quite a bit in VGC history, so they kind of know each other's play styles. And, I think Justin has more wins than Ken does at this point.
I believe so.
And, they've both played, not in this tournament, but they have definitely played in the finals of other tournaments.
In history they have.
So Justin here is going to be running Whimsicott, Celesteela, Tapu Fini, Arcanine, Garchomp, and Tapu Koko.
And Ken is going to be running Tapu Koko, Mimikyu, Snorlax, Arcanine, Garchomp, and the Celesteela.
So there's a couple of differences here, and mainly in the Mimikyu Snorlax combination versus the Tapu Fini Whimsicott combination of Justin. And that means that Justin maybe is a bit more offensively more into the offensive pressure here than Ken here. More of the I have a Trick Room option.
Absolutely.
Snorlax is here to stay for the long haul, as we saw in top 4.
Yeah, so that Snorlax last time obviously was doing a lot of clutch lives, but who knows if it's going to be able to really take advantage of that, because Justin's team really doesn't ever threaten that Trick Room aspect.
Yeah, this is true, but we do have the Whimsicott Z Nature Power to kind of handle Garchomp, can handle Celesteela for sure, and even though it can't really do that much damage to the other 4, it can definitely threaten Mimikyu for good damage, and if an Electric Terrain, threaten the Arcanine as well.
Absolutely. All right, but we have just a couple seconds ticking down here for our players to lock in.
All right, and let's hit into it. Again, Justin will be on the bottom side, our stream side. That way, you don't have to deal with the Chinese characters that no one other than me understands here.
It's a rough life for a commentator. All right, but let's head right into the match.
All right.
All right, as we do see Justin lead with that Whimsicott and Garchomp.
As we see Tapu Koko and Mimikyu, the first different lead we've seen from Ken this tournament, and honestly, I don't think I've ever seen him not lead Garchomp, Tapu Koko. So this is kind of a new one for me too.
It's unprecedented.
Unprecedented behavior, especially the Mimikyu. I don't think I've seen him run it this season. Definitely a threat to look out for, especially with that Trick Room option. So here, it's definitely looking something like Volt Switch Trick Room for Ken, and that's really good if you can get that Snorlax in for free.
Absolutely. Another thing that he has to consider is that we haven't actually seen what Ken's Mimikyu is running, so it could be running that Fairy Z to do a big amount of damage to that Garchomp, or it could be running the Ghostium Z to run Z Destiny Bond.
Right, and so Garchomp gonna switch out right now, doesn't want to take possibility of Fairy Z, like you said, into that Celesteela. Whimsicott also is going to protect, gonna scout out whatever Ken wants to do this turn, as Tapu Koko gonna go for that Sky Drop into Whimsicott's Protect.
As we see that, as we do see the Fairy Z, most likely into the Celesteela.
Yeah, great switch on Justin's part. They've played each other, and I'm sure Ken knows a bit more about Justin's team, though, I mean, he knew what this is coming, so maybe Justin also knows an equal amount about Ken's team here. Celesteela is going to definitely eat this up.
Absolutely. All right, so Celesteela living that handily, but he is now facing down a Tapu Koko, and that's never fun for a Celesteela.
Right, but, it is the AV version, the Assault Vest version, so maybe not necessarily enough to knock out Celesteela even in this terrain. It depends on how it's built. Whimsicott here is definitely ready to do something prankster-like here.
Absolutely. It may be able to set up the Tailwind, pardon me, or use a taunt to stop the Trick Room if it is running that. But a lot of Whimsicotts this year are not having enough move slots to really take advantage of it.
I think that's something you could say for every year, for every prankster too, is that they just don't have enough slots to have everything they want, especially if one of those slots is Protect, which generally you don't see Protect on pranksters, but Protect is so valuable even on prankster Pokemon that just mainly do support.
Absolutely. So we see that Whimsicott switch out for the Garchomp.
Yeah, safe to come back in after, Ken blows his Fairy Z. Arcanine does come in after that switch, so good for Ken. Gonna get that -1 onto Justin's Garchomp.
Absolutely. So I feel like we have to see the Celesteela protect here. Otherwise, he would have been taking a good amount of damage from that Tapu Koko.
And Tapu Koko gonna Volt Switch. Nothing. Hits nothing. And Leftovers Recovery gonna put that Celesteela back off, reducing that damage from the Play Rough, the Z Play Rough.
Absolutely. So I think we can see here just the Garchomp just going for an Earthquake because there is nothing on the other team that really wants to take that's on the field right now.
Yeah. So for Ken, it's definitely an easy Volt Switch here.
All right, as we do see that Tapu Fini come in for the Celesteela.
All right, and so it is going to be taking that Volt Switch, but without the terrain, this Tapu Koko is not hitting very hard at all. It's really going to be doing only a little bit of damage. Yeah.
That's a little bit more than a little bit, but
I think it's a little bit.
For a Tapu Koko, definitely. But for a lot of Mons, that's a good amount of damage. But let's see if that Snorlax comes in.
All right, so Garchomp is going to Earthquake. That self-Earthquake, maybe a recurring theme here, has led to some negative outcomes in the past.
Absolutely.
As Will-O-Wisp coming in, but, you know,
ooh, good
can't
play.
Can't hit things in Misty Terrain with Will-O-Wisp. So even though it was helpful against Corey, it hasn't been helpful thus far against anyone else.
Yeah. So I think what we could see here is just another Earthquake, and then maybe him switching back into Celesteela.
Yeah, it definitely could be an option available to Justin right now. Another Earthquake will definitely finish off the Arcanine, but Snorlax, you know, he's ready to go. He's ready to stay. And as long as he's here, he can just do what he wants.
Absolutely. That Snorlax is going to be very threatening. I don't think we have seen the full Snorlax set yet, but we do see the Garchomp's switch out for the Whimsicott.
All right, Whimsicott back in. Arcanine protecting itself, making sure it doesn't go down to another Earthquake. And Scald going to try and finish off that Arcanine, but hitting into that Protect.
And we see that Snorlax go for the return into the Whimsicott, doing a good amount of damage.
Yeah, another return will definitely seal a deal on that one. A good thing to note is that Whimsicott do sometimes carry Encore, and that's definitely an option Justin has to lock that Arcanine into the useless Protect. Even if you're protecting yourself for multiple turns in a row, all it does is prolong the inevitable.
Absolutely. So let's see how this plays out here. Because right now, without that Trick Room up, that Snorlax is going to be very slow, but it still is a very bulky Pokemon.
I think both of Justin's Pokemon are within return range now, so it's really up to his discretion on which one he wants to get rid of at this point in time. Ken is going to withdraw his Arcanine and send out Tapu Koko. Really does not want to take any of those damaging hits that could end that Arcanine's lifespan.
Absolutely, or potentially get locked into the Protect. But we do see that Whimsicott go for the Protect there.
Yeah, protecting itself from a possible return here. Scald is going to go into Tapu Koko. With the Assault Vest, it's going to be taking it a bit better, but, you know, it's still a lot of damage. And Tapu Koko here, ready to fire off a Volt Switch if it needs to, but has to be careful of Garchomp switching in and taking that Volt Switch. Absolutely.
So right now, if that Garchomp does go down, at some point, that Tapu Koko really is just going to have a fun time against the rest of Justin's team. But it is going to be difficult to get to that position.
Snorlax ready to go for more returns, I think. And he did go for the Whimsicott last turn. I don't think it really mattered too much which ones he targeted it, but having the possible KO on Tapu Fini last turn would have been a little nicer to have.
Absolutely. So with that Mimikyu in the back, I think it is a little dangerous to go for that Tailwind, but we do just see the Celesteela switch in here.
Yeah, very risky though. So a double switch from Justin's end, very risky. Did he call that switch correctly? We will see in time. Snorlax going to protect itself, a very wasted Protect here. And Volt Switch
goes into that Celesteela. It's going to do a lot of damage.
So good call on Ken's end. Not falling for that, you know, Garchomp switch trap. Probably going to send in that Arcanine for another Intimidate round, especially on Garchomp here. Or he could switch into Mimikyu and have that Play Rough option, or Trick Room even.
Absolutely. Because right now that Mimikyu, I guess it would be a little threatened by an Earthquake and then a Heavy Slam. But if he preserves that Mimikyu just a little bit longer till he's able to get rid of that Celesteela, I think he's going to be in a fine position to eventually set up that Trick Room.
Alright, Arcanine comes in, gonna drop another Intimidate on Garchomp and Celesteela. Really effective at making sure Garchomp doesn't have the full power it's used to using.
Alright, as we do see the Leftovers recovery just go a little bit onto that Celesteela.
Alright, and you know, Snorlax still here. Hasn't taken damage for a couple of turns now. Been able to fire off some really nicely powered returns. Justin's lack of Arcanine this battle means that the Snorlax really is kind of just free to throw out attacks.
Absolutely. Without a way to drop that attack, that Snorlax is really just a very big threat, even without the need for boosting at this point.
Alright, Garchomp is going to go for that Earthquake next to its flying Celesteela partner. Trying to get that KO onto Arcanine, but it's not going to get it through that Protect.
And that Snorlax does take a good bit of damage, but not enough to get it into its berry range, as we do see the Leech Seed go into the Snorlax.
Alright, so now it's got a timer, and you know, Snorlax hates timers. So, Return going to do about 50% to that Garchomp, a sizable chunk, maybe indicating that it's a little less physically bulky and way more especially bulky, as we've seen before. Justin's Garchomp does allow for attack procs from download.
Absolutely. So we will see. So that Snorlax does get a little bit more HP drained, and giving it back to that Celesteela.
And Celesteela, even though it was pretty weak from that Volt Switch before, it's looking pretty healthy now.
Absolutely.
And Garchomp still here threatening that Earthquake damage. What Ken can do is switch Arcanine again out into Mimikyu, but to do that he will have to pop that Disguise.
Absolutely. It is a super risky play, but that Snorlax is also providing such a big health pack to that Celesteela.
And right, that's one of the things that isn't favorable about this Snorlax-Celesteela matchup, is that the Snorlax, without a boosting move, will probably lose that. As we do see Ken take the switch into Mimikyu, it's the only safe switch he has here, and I use safe in probably the most loosest of terms, since it's not even that safe, really.
It's not taking any HP damage, but it is losing its Disguise to that Garchomp's Earthquake.
And if Justin went for the heavy slam, like right here, this could mean bad news.
Oh wow, that didn't do enough to pick up that the KO, but we do see another return come into that Garchomp, and he is able to live it though.
Garchomp in the red now, and you know, if Ken has Shadow Sneak on Mimikyu, this could be pretty good for him right now, but if he does not have Mimikyu, then it's gonna be difficult to try and clear the Garchomp from the field.
Absolutely. So we see another big drain that come from that Snorlax, but if I don't believe he has revealed if he does have that Shadow Sneak yet, but if he does, that's that Garchomp is just gonna fall here.
Yeah, but both Pokemon still have all four of their Pokemon. Both trainers still have all four of their Pokemon. So Justin has that freedom of switching out Garchomp, preserving it for later, knowing that Earthquake is one of the best ways to deal damage against Ken's team, and that is exactly what he's going to do.
All right, so just making sure that scouting for the potential for that Shadow Sneak, I believe, as he does in fact have it.
Shadow Sneak onto Whimsicott is pretty much just wasted damage, as you know, another Snorlax's returns would have knocked it out there anyway.
All right, and the Celesteela is able to pick up the knockout onto that onto that Mimikyu there.
All right, and then the Beast Boost revealed as special defense. So Tapu Koko, you know, it was already pretty weak to start with, and now it's even weaker against the Celesteela with boosts.
Absolutely. So now, if that Whimsicott is running Encore, he can't Encore the Snorlax into Recycle, and then just really limit what that Snorlax is going to be able to do here.
Alright, and you know, Celesteela sat here for a few turns, and now he's back at full health. So, Ken's gonna have to save his Arcanine for sure now that the Celesteela has got a Beast Boost. Snorlax may want to switch out to stop providing Celesteela that health return.
As well as switch out from the potential Encore here.
Right.
Alright, but we see the Arcanine come in for Ken.
Alright, and you know, Arcanine gonna be doing okay here. Threatens both of these Pokemon, especially that Whimsicott with an extreme speed. It's gonna be a call for Ken here. Does he want to keep Snorlax in and keep providing health to the Celesteela, or switch out, knowing that Celesteela could just, you know, go for the heavy slam into that slot, or does he try to KO that Celesteela this turn with Flare Blitz and a combination return?
Absolutely, and even though it may not usually be an option, depending on how that Arcanine is trained, it might actually go down to a Breakneck Blitz if necessary from that Whimsicott.
That's also true. So here comes Garchomp one more time, even though it's really low health, and Snorlax is going to switch out, not going to provide any more health for Justin, as Tapu Koko comes in, provides that electric terrain. So if Justin went for the Z Nature Power, or maybe even the normal Nature Power.
Oh, as he does just go for the Protect, he was not willing to make that risky call there.
All right, Extreme Speed into Whimsicott basically means that both players just wanted to reposition the board, take a look at what's going on around them, and it's looking pretty bad now for Ken, since a Z Nature Power will end the Arcanine, so you're forced into Extreme Speeding.
Absolutely, but on that end, there is also the potential that Tapu Koko can just pick up the KO onto that Garchomp and then not really worry about that.
That's also true. I think, though, Assault Vest Kokos don't usually carry Dazzling Gleam from my experience. I may be wrong on this set, but we've seen Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, and Skydrop. Now, Skydrop at this range probably still KOs the Garchomp, but you'll have to wait a turn.
Absolutely, but I think at this juncture it probably would be worth it, but we do see that Whimsicott get knocked out from the Extreme Speed by Arcanine.
And Skydrop coming up and picking up that Garchomp, so Garchomp probably getting knocked out the following turn. There is no Intimidate, as we've said before, so this Koko is attacking at full power.
Yeah.
Which I hope is enough for 15 damage on a Garchomp.
Koko does have a higher physical attack stat than it does the special one.
This is true, so, I think it's going to knock it out, but maybe Justin's got some insane bulk.
Absolutely. I'd have to imagine so, but at this point I really do think Ken is in a very nice position here.
Alright, Ken withdrawing the Arcanine for Snorlax. And Snorlax here really set to just take the rest of the game, especially because Ken is saving that Arcanine for the Celesteela coming back in.
Absolutely. Alright, so that Tapu Koko does take a little bit of rough skin damage as Tapu Fini goes for that Muddy Water.
Alright, let's see. Can Ken get those Muddy Water accuracy drops?
Ooh, as he does, and the door opens once again as if that Tapu Koko is no longer going to be able to pick up that KO on that Celesteela.
Yeah, so Celesteela did lose its special defense boost, but Tapu Koko is not in terrain and it has an accuracy drop. The chance of it getting to do anything this turn before going down is not great, and it's probably not picking up a KO on Celesteela if it chooses to go for that.
Absolutely, but Ken still does have his Arcanine in the back, so that Snorlax can attempt to pick up the knockout onto that Tapu Fini, but he decides to play it a little bit risky.
The Muddy Water does miss Snorlax, but it already paid off here, so Tapu Koko, that guy's gone.
Yeah, but luckily for Ken, he does have that Arcanine in the back to not have to really worry about that Celesteela.
Well, he's still going to have to do a bit more worrying because that Celesteela just seeded the Snorlax.
As he does not, in fact, go for that frustration into that Tapu Fini.
Yeah, that may have been a mistake, seeing as a return into the Tapu Fini would have been enough to knock it out for sure, and then you would have had, this double up of Snorlax, Arcanine, and the Snorlax has a boosting move. You can just use that until you're at a significant boost amount and be able to do more damage to Celesteela.
Absolutely. And now it's looking like this game is not in as good of a position for Ken as it could have been based on that last turn misplay. But we will see.
At the same time, we can just see a Protect from Ken and, a return this turn, barring any accuracy drops to misses. Take care of this Tapu Fini this turn. So just prolonging the inevitable for the Tapu Fini.
Absolutely.
Muddy Water connecting on Snorlax this time.
Alright, if no accuracy drops here, I would have to imagine the Snorlax is going into it. Oh man, but the Snorlax does get the accuracy drop.
Heavy Slam into Snorlax is going to do a bit of damage. Thanks to Intimidate, it really isn't doing a whole lot. Return is going to connect, however, so that is great for Ken. It's a knockout, and, now it's a 2v1. Arcanine, Snorlax. Snorlax is going to have to do a little bit of setup work before starting to attack the Celesteela, as I'm sure one Flare Blitz alone is not enough to take that KO.
Absolutely, and that Snorlax is basically serving as a health pack to that Celesteela. So I think we're going to have to see a recycle here, even though that is going to help that Celesteela survive in the long run.
Here's the Flare Blitz. How much damage will it do? I don't expect a one-hit KO, and definitely nowhere close, it looks like. Perhaps a bulkier set, like I said, because of Will-O-Wisp. But he does proc his berry, so Ken gonna get health back for more Flare Blitzes down the line.
As we see another Leech Seed onto that Arcanine right there.
Yeah, so with enough protecting power, Justin could get enough HP to stay out of that Flare Blitz KO range, but
it'd be really rough at this point. He would have to probably get maybe
doubles
even a
or
triple
triples.
protect.
Yeah.
And at that point, I think that that Arcanine would probably be within self KO range if he does actually manage to get that triple protect there.
Right. And so, Justin is going to get a lot of HP back, but it's not going to be enough to put him outside of that Flare Blitz KO range. So what Ken can do now is take this very good opportunity to set up a Curse, a Belly Drum, something for Snorlax.
Absolutely.
And get that offensive pressure going.
If he does have a setup move on that Snorlax, now would be the time to make sure to use it, because this Celesteela has to protect. Even if he doesn't protect, then he has the game won. If he does protect, he puts himself in a slightly better position.
All right, the protect from Celesteela. Oh, wow. Who could have seen that one coming?
Absolutely, right? As we do see the Arcanine just go for the Flare Blitz into it. And Snorlax goes for that recycle.
All right, just making sure that Barry is sustaining the Snorlax enough so that after he's more comfortable with the percentage he's at, he can start going for a Curse. But maybe he just doesn't have it, and maybe he has high horsepower.
Absolutely. So
I haven't seen it yet. I'm sure, unless you've seen it.
I don't think I have.
All right, and Celesteela back up to a good amount of health here.
It might be within range to live another Flare Blitz here, so I think he has to go for the Flare Blitz and then hope that his frustration is able to pick up the KO here.
Something like that. I do hope Ken does have that boosting move, because that would go a long way towards guaranteeing this end game. But if he doesn't, this is going to be a long, drawn-out game. We've already used up 22 minutes of the clock. Will-O-Wisp going to come out from Arcanine, burn Celesteela, make sure that Leftovers recovery is negated.
It's halved currently, but as we do see the Flamethrower coming out from that Celesteela into that Arcanine, as we see the Belly Drum.
So finally getting an opportunity to get that Belly Drum off. He has the berry to proc, but he's still not ready to start swinging yet. I think he still wants to get comfortable in a zone where he has the HP to work with. And
Absolutely.
Then Justin will have to hope on some maybe quadruple protects.
Yeah, it'd be a rough protecting spree, but it's certainly possible. All right. So now I think if he protects, Justin's honestly in a half decent position here.
Yeah, so a protect here means Snorlax is going to get a recycle, and there's really nothing you can do even if you don't protect. So I think for Justin, it might be lost. And at the same time, Justin might call that he goes for the recycle, takes this, and then starts protect stalling.
As it is able to pick up its self-KO onto that Arcanine, so let's see if he is able to do something here. Maybe potentially get a burn here to ensure that he's able to live one. But no.
And a return from Ken, going to seal the game. Game one is over, but the players have used up half of the round timer. They're going to have to book it to make sure they can get to a game 3 for Justin's sake.
Absolutely. So if you're Justin, you now have to adjust how you're playing. You can't play that slow, methodical game that you were playing before. You might have to play a little more offensively, make those risks that you normally wouldn't make, just to make sure you have enough time to actually win game 3 if you do have the chance.
Otherwise, we may see a sudden death finals, or maybe like I'm not sure what else. I don't even know how to get to sudden death. Don't they have to tie and everything to get to sudden death? Something like that. I'm not a judge, so
Absolutely.
I'll let
But
the judges worry about that.
But it'd be exciting. We've never commentated over one, but it'd certainly be exciting.
Right, and they do get that turn 0, 1, 2, 3. That is definitely the rule that I know.
Absolutely.
So they will have some time, some buffer, but
Okay.
Okay. So confirmation: Justin doesn't have to speed up his gameplay. He can just win this game and go to sudden death
If they run out of time.
before game 3 starts, right? So that's the condition that Justin could aim for if he wanted to stay for 25 more minutes and extra. But I mean, we're getting a little hungry here.
Yeah. It's getting a little late. Some of us have a long drive ahead of us, but I'm excited to commentate. So let's hop into it.
Yeah, we've been ignoring this team preview this whole time and basically talking about what happens if we time out. So
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, I think Justin does have the tools. Garchomp was very instrumental in helping the damage, but intimidate, cycling Mimikyu out for damage, threatening the Garchomp, being able to do that much damage with a return from Snorlax really threatens Justin's ability to meaningfully use Garchomp to get damage off.
Yeah, but we will see how Justin is able to adapt to the second game. After that first game, it was a very close game, and I think it really just came down to a couple calls. So I think if I'm Justin, I'm pretty happy with how I played it, but with a player of his caliber, I'm sure he knows exactly how he wants to adjust.
All right, so Justin gonna lead off with Arcanine Garchomp, not making the no intimidate from last game. He's going to start intimidating right away.
All right, and we see Ken lead off with that Mimikyu and Tapu Koko.
Yeah, so this is pretty good now since I think Garchomp might be able to survive the -1 Twinkle Tackle from Mimikyu.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be close, but I don't know if he would be able to live that. Plus, I don't know if that Tapu Koko has actually been able to reveal its 4th move yet.
Right, so, there's a lot of ways this can go, and Volt Switch Trick Room is one of the most obvious that could happen right now. There is no way that Mimikyu is going down this turn.
Yeah.
Unless, Justin gets like a super crit.
Absolutely. That'd be certainly interesting to see a bulky anything to go down to that. But let's see how it plays out here.
Justin already made his move, so maybe he is going to go for that more offensive play style, more decisive decision making. But Arcanine going to protect here, doesn't want to take that Volt Switch.
As we do see the Volt Switch actually go into that Garchomp. Oh, pardon me. Yeah, no, it went
into
the
the Arcanine.
Oh, did it?
Oh wait, no, maybe it did.
Yeah,
go
I think
into
it
the
went into the Garchomp.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, Earthquake is going to do a big number on Tapu Koko. Not enough for the KO, but Breaking Disguise as well means that Ken is going to be playing with a pretty much 1 HP Tapu Koko the rest of the game.
Absolutely. But we do see that Twinkle Tackle come out from that Mimikyu.
Yeah, so Ken did a smart-ish double up, but I mean, it'll also let his Tapu Koko get Earthquaked. Something you don't usually want to happen. And Twinkle Tackle is going to do a lot of damage to this Garchomp. Will it KO, though?
It's certainly going to be close, but let's see here. Oh, just out of range with that 11 HP left.
Now a -1 Skydrop kill that.
Yeah, but we do know that will in fact pick up the KO. But I don't know if that's certainly the play he wants to go for at this point, because he would knock himself out with that recoil, or pardon me, with the rough skim damage here.
And of course, Arcanine has that extreme speed option, assuming it has extreme speed. So Koko is definitely not safe right now. And I think Ken is definitely going to want to conserve it for, helping out with a Celesteela, helping out versus like Tapu Fini, these kinds of things. I think Ken needs to save his Tapu Koko. Maybe switching to something more defensive, like either Snorlax or Arcanine, or his own Garchomp. Those things could be good switches right now.
Absolutely. And that Garchomp is also threatened by the potential Shadow Sneak coming out of that Mimikyu slot.
Right, we did see that in Game 1, so Justin's going to pull out here, throw in Tapu Fini, reset the terrain, give Arcanine that Misty Seed boost, so enabling him to thief stuff.
All right, and see that Shadow Sneak come out into that Tapu Fini.
And Volt Switch coming out again. No fear here, doesn't fear the extreme speed, gonna get that switch power with a little bit of chip.
Absolutely, and it seems like that not fearing that extreme speed did in fact pay off, because now he got off a little bit of chip damage onto that Arcanine.
All right, and what's coming in?
All right.
Ken is debating on something. Perhaps he's afraid of a thief from the
Yeah,
Arcanine.
a thief is always a option to consider when you see that Misty Seed, as we have talked about earlier in the stream. But we
And
do
he
see that
is going to
Snorlax.
throw in the Snorlax. I see someone very happy over there because a
As-
thief did happen, and Snorlax can say bye-bye to those berries. He's not getting dinner tonight.
Ooh, that is a very rough outcome for Ken. That Snorlax no longer has the ability to recycle that berry, so he is going to be limited on the amount of turns he can spend on field now.
Yeah, and Belly Drum definitely not a good option anymore since you will lose half your health, and Ken won't be able to recover that health at all.
Absolutely. So right now, I really think that Snorlax is basically just gonna have to sit here and do its best while it is here, but it's not going to be able to do too much without getting a boost.
And you know, Justin made that good play, where he switched out and got that thief. And Ken maybe was considering switching into something other than Snorlax, but the risk of a Flare Blitz, the risk of a Flare Blitz into his other Pokemon might have been too much.
Absolutely, but we do see a Moonblast, a double target with the Moonblast and the Flare Blitz into the Snorlax slot.
And that's enough to take it out because of that critical hit. I don't know if that mattered or not. And, you know, Ken was setting up Trick Room, but now his Trick Room attacker is gone.
Yeah, so if he goes out to the Tapu Koko, he would be the slowest thing. And, alright, so he does go out into his own Arcanine here.
Yeah, so it looks like it was actually kind of I guess a frame trap of sorts. No matter what Ken picked to switch in for that Volt Switch, it would have gotten thiefed anyway.
Absolutely. That was a bit of a rough time. I think if I was Ken, though, I would have preferred my Arcanine to get thieved.
Yeah, and Arcanine is not doing a whole lot in this scenario, especially because Tapu Fini is resisting all of its attacks. But, I mean, it is locked in the Moonblast, so make the best of this scenario and get some Flare Blitz damage out.
Absolutely. Because right now, that Mimikyu... Oh, as we do just see a forfeit there.
Yeah, I want to conserve that time for Game 3, and we are going to head to Game 3. So we didn't even get to see what was in Justin's back, but I mean, that dog was hungry, dude.
Absolutely, he
Hungry
was
for the win.
a greedy dog, but it paid off. That thief is always a risky play, but it certainly paid off because all the things that he could have switched out to, he would have stole the item from. But we will see how these two players...
This is Game 3 with about 18 minutes remaining. Well, let's see if we can avoid a tiebreaker scenario. Sudden death is no longer an option for either of these players unless they true tie.
A true tie would certainly be interesting to see, but it's not super likely. But I mean, a lot of their team do have they do have a lot of similar mons. So
yeah, a true tie is possible. Do I want to see it happen? No, but
yeah, right.
I am okay with seeing it happen if I get the honor of commentating it.
Absolutely, right? It's always super exciting because it's kind of like the TCG where you really have to like think about every turn you make because you only have 3 to make everything happen.
Right. And even in TCG there is that overall round timer, which is something we've adopted. So let's see how Justin can keep this momentum going forward. Ken looks like he's not going to fall for that same mistake again. How are these players going to deal with each other in this last game of today? November 4th, 2017, mid-season showdown at Indiana Tech.
All right. So another thing is that it was very well handled on Justin's side, making sure that Ken didn't even consider the possibility of thief because that Arcanine didn't come first game.
Right. And maybe Ken didn't have that understanding of, hey, he's Misty Seed Arcanine, he's probably got Thief. Or maybe he's used to a more offensive style Arcanine that Justin has been running some previous tournaments. And maybe that threw him off.
Absolutely. But we're going to hop into the final game of the Fort Wayne MSS. And let's hop into it.
All right. Ken gonna lead off with Tapu Koko and Garchomp returning to his bread and butter.
All right, as we do see the Garchomp and the Arcanine from Justin.
Worked last time, so it should work this time as well. We'll see if Ken decides to preserve more of his Tapu Koko's health, not let it get earthquaked willy-nilly by this Garchomp here. And you know, Ken's Garchomp has the opportunity to use Tectonic Rage, maybe KO that Arcanine, but it's definitely looking bulky. So I would question the ability of Ken's Garchomp to take it out this turn.
Absolutely. But we have seen some crazy things on stream already, so let's see if we can see any more in this last match.
Alright, Justin is locked into his move. He is still going strong. He is not wanting to give up this championship to a fellow Midwest player.
Alright, as we do see the Arcanine go for that Protect there.
Alright, and Skydrop into Garchomp, so he's going to start doing some Skydrop Swords Dance strats. Here it is.
Oh, that's going to be a rough one. That Arcanine, I mean, he could once again potentially go for that Earthquake play if he thinks it would really pay off here, but I think that'd be a little too risky on the second turn of the final match.
Yeah, and you know, here it's going to be something of a speed question. Is Justin's Garchomp faster than Ken's Garchomp? Will Ken be able to get that Tectonic Rage before Justin's gets to attacks?
Absolutely. So we see the extreme speed from the Arcanine into that Garchomp, as we see the Garchomp get dropped from that as the Rough Skin procs.
And Dragon
we do
Claw
see the Dragon Claw
coming out. And
as it
picking
is
up
able
the
to pick up the
KO.
KO here.
So that Swords Dance was in vain, it looks like. And you know, Ken maybe not expected that. A lot of Garchomp don't carry Dragon Claw anymore because of all of those Tapu Pokemon. But Dragon Claw is still good at what it does best, slaying other dragons.
All right. So that is a very rough first couple of turns for Ken. Setting up that Swords Dance and getting absolutely nothing from it is always rough. But he still has some turns to make things happen here.
All right, and so Ken, losing a Pokemon this early in the game doesn't mean certain death yet, but as soon as, you know, the Misty Terrain comes back up, Arcanine's ready to start stealing some berries.
Absolutely. So we just see the Earthquake happen here as the Arcanine does go for a Protect, doing a good amount of damage, able to knock out that Tapu Koko with a critical hit.
Honestly, probably didn't matter too much. As we saw in Game 2, it did about 99%. But Ken strikes back. He's getting that berry out of the way, so you can't steal it from me anymore.
Making sure that that berry is gone, no more stealing of it. But if he does go for that recycle at any point, he does have to be mindful that that Arcanine could steal it if the switches in the Tapu Fini to get the Misty Seed.
And here comes Arcanine, ready to lower the attack of both opposing Pokemon, and you know, Snorlax ready to go. Return does a lot of damage at +6, pretty much flat, knocking out anything that it touches. The only thing that can maybe stop its assault here would be Justin's Celesteela.
Absolutely, but let's see what they're able to go for here. Because right now, I do not remember if Justin has revealed where his Z move is, but let's see here if they're able to do it off. Alright, so as we wait for these moves to lock in here, I think we might see just some damage trying to be done to that Snorlax, because that Snorlax is a big, big threat right now. Even if it is down one, the only mon left, I really do think it does have the ability to pull it all the way back.
Alright, Tapu Fini gonna switch in and set up that Misty Terrain for Arcanine. You proc that Misty Seed as well, and you know, he can actually steal the other Arcanine's berry this turn as well.
Yeah, if he really needs to, he could.
But, you know, he's just going to sacrifice that Misty Seed boost, pull up a double switch. There's Celesteela. How did Ken split his attacks?
Alright, as the Arcanine does go for that Protect there.
Alright, a safe Protect here, and a return into the Tapu Fini slot means Tapu Fini is not going to be able to help Justin take out that Arcanine. But on the bright side, Justin did bait out a Protect from Arcanine. Garchomp is going to be able to come back in and throw out an Earthquake.
Yeah, or a Ground DMZ if he's not quite sure on the damage calcs there. But Earthquake is a pretty safe bet here. Unless Ken is able to get that double Protect, I really think he's not in a great position.
Yeah, so right here, Ken really has to manage Snorlax's health well. He does know that recycling gives him the risk of getting thiefed, but he may also need that health in order to combat the Celesteela at the same time.
Absolutely, because without the proper amount of regeneration from that recycling, he could be in a bit of trouble, as he is able to get that double protect.
So a double protect from Ken's Arcanine, making sure Earthquake does no damage here and only hits the Snorlax. But Snorlax is going to take this not very well, putting it below half and no berry. So Leech Seed coming down, making sure Snorlax takes more damage unless he went for that recycle.
All right, as he does just go for that return into the Garchomp, doing a good amount of damage, picking up the KO and taking some rough skin damage with him.
Yeah, Snorlax is definitely feeling the pressure right now, though. He is so low on health. Arcanine from Justin can definitely just knock it out before recycle even goes up. No thief required.
Absolutely, but that does leave it to where it is an Arcanine versus Arcanine. So let's see how our combatants are able to play this out.
Yes.
Because
Ken's is going to be that -1. Losing those first two Pokemon really hurt. He would love to be able to switch and cycle that Intimidate, but he just got sidelined by the Dragon Claw Garchomp, basically.
Absolutely. That was a very rough second turn for Ken. But he has came back and played very well for the rest of the game, and I think he still has a chance here.
Flare Blitz into Snorlax. It's going to take it out and leave Ken with only one Pokemon remaining.
Absolutely. With the drop to the physical attack, I really don't think that Celesteela is going to be picked up by the KO here.
Here comes the Flare Blitz.
It's
not going to be a critical hit. It doesn't even do over 50%. Ken is looking to be in big trouble.
Absolutely, but he does miss that Leech Seed here.
And now Justin having no seed and Ken way far away from berry range. It's looking like dinner time for Justin.
Yeah, I think it might be time for another thief here. But unfortunately, we do see a forfeit here. So we do see Justin come out with the victory.
Set. So great game to both players. That game 3 was quite a good one, if I do say so myself. I did not expect to see Dragon Claw. I did not expect to see Dragon Claw Garchomp with a Feeny on the same team.
Absolutely.
But it worked in that specific scenario, and Ken was not prepared.
Absolutely. It really paid off. So good job to both of our players here, and we will see you guys with a player interview, correct?
Yeah. I think so. So we will get the defending champion, Justin Crubaugh, over here. Do an interview with...
Do you want to do it?